I think I'm live now. Let's see. All right. Looks like I'm live. I'm watching myself to see if I can tell whether I'm not or not, whether I'm live or not. I guess I am. How does the stream sound? How does it look? It was really bugging me earlier that things just, I don't know what's going on with my 4K setup. It's sad. But we're here to talk about sacrifices, cryptocurrency sacrifices. People ask all the time, they ask all the time, how do these sacrifices work? And I had a really good question earlier that inspired me to do this. And that question was, let's see, well, how sacrifices work. And that's the title here. Crypto Sacrifices Explained. Let's jump right into it. All right, so what I have here is a spreadsheet. So I'm going to do some math. I'm going to walk you through some math. But before that, let's go here. Sacrifices explained. Now, every sacrifice is different, but really when it comes to sacrifices, this is kind of a relatively new idea. If you go to the website sacrifice.to, which down in the description you can see information on that sacrifice.to, this guy Jeffrey Christian, he wrote a great article about that. And I'm just gonna browse through this article with you real quick, like, no, don't want to continue. And so this idea has been around since 2018 or earlier. Some important things here, but community sacrifice. So when you partake in a sacrifice, whether it's Pulse Chain, PulseX, Liquid Loans, and if you did partake in any of those, congratulations. I think those are incredible sacrifices, and we'll see how that goes out. Although we have no expectations of anything, right? Well, hey, if nothing happens, then we still gave to a good cause, and we had a very loud political statement for that. But here, okay, every ICO or initial coin offering talks about the value of their community. Anyone listening, an ICO is similar to a stock IPO. It's an initial offering of that stock, initial offering of that crypto. When really exciting cryptocurrencies come out, you want to get the first supply. When you get the first supply, you get to use the cryptocurrency sooner. And you also, if there is some sort of benefit, then that's pretty cool. Like a benefit for you using it. If it turns out that there's a financial benefit, then that's even cooler. But hey, you get to use the cryptocurrency. You get to be the first person to use that. And when it comes to things in the Ethereum world, that's really fun. You're getting to use a decentralized application, and who knows what the application is doing, but it's cool stuff. So here, community sacrifice. All right, so here, what this goes over, this is a great article that you should read, but it goes over how when when we have all created these cryptocurrencies together, maybe not yourselves, but all the people behind these cryptocurrencies and the community, they're all making a sacrifice of their time. Some community members are promoting and talking about the cryptocurrencies or putting money down to make advertisements to advertise the cryptocurrency, or people are using their talents to make graphics, to work on different websites, to communicate about the cryptocurrency. This is all considered a sacrifice of your time. So today, sacrifices, and definitely read more about this awesome article. Sacrifices today have started being used by PulseChain, from my understanding, to give the initial supply of PulseChain to people who are going to be using that. So I'd like to make an example with the Genius token, because the Genius token is doing a sacrifice, to give you an idea of how this works. All right. Oh, all right. Thank you, Vic R. Thank you so much for telling me that the video looks good. Not choppy at all. Not choppy at all. I turned the video down to 1080p, normal high definition. And, I'm at my office here and it could get loud any second. So I'm hoping to blast past this and help you all. If you all have questions about sacrificing, please put those questions down at the bottom. Put that in the comment space. I'll get to them. All right, first things first. So here with the Genius Sacrifice, the Genius Sacrifice will be a 28-day online event in support of a political statement. So sacrifices typically are to support a political statement, and a sacrifice is where people are pooling their funds together to support this political statement. And in return, they're told that they're going to get the initial supply of a new cryptocurrency, and they're also told that hey, there's no expectation of profits, and have no expectations. This is about cryptocurrency. This is about a political statement, and etc. And here, the Genius Sacrifices political statement has a lot to do with the United States in 1776, based off that cryptocurrency is freedom, financial freedom, and transactional freedom. And personally, I believe that the the freedom that was fought for in the 1700s for the United States of America, I believe the freedom that was fought for had a lot more to do with finances, financial freedom, freedom from the the England crown. And hey, I'm not a history person. I'm not going to pretend to be, but that's something that I openly admit is a belief system of mine. So to have financial freedom, transactional freedom, and the truth is that having financial freedom or having control of your own value, your own store of value, it gives you more options. It lets you exercise your will a little more. Instead of getting into all that, you can read this yourself on sacrifice.to. But what I want to point out is almost all sacrifices, they tell you how you can make the best of it. Like, let's go to PulseChain. Let's go to pulsechain.com. All right, so okay, so on PulseChain's sacrifice, you can still get more information about that on pulsechain.com. There's information on how you can get the most out of that sacrifice, so you can get the most of the initial supply of PulseChain. And with this Genius sacrifice here, it tells you that, well, how are you going to sacrifice? By sacrificing, you're going to send cryptocurrency to a certain address, and that's how you sacrifice. And with the Genius sacrifice, you'll send Ethereum tokens or Ether currency itself. You're going to send it to a sacrifice address. So you're gonna transfer Ether currency or any other US dollar token, Hex, Shiba Inu, wrapped Bitcoin, Crypto.com staking coin, CRO, or Decentraland's Mana. You're going to send that to a different address. So you're going to get rid of it, basically. You're going to burn it. It's not yours anymore. It's part of your sacrifice. And here, for each $1 value of your sacrifice, you're going to be awarded 100 points. Okay, so you're going to get points. So getting points is good, I guess. In PulseChain, I don't guess, I know this, but in PulseChain, you're given 10,000 points. Okay, but what do these points mean? I'll get to that. There's some other rules here that say, hey, every one Genius token that you sacrifice, it's going to be awarded 333 points. More on that later. And by the way, that's a pumpamental. And as long as Genius token is less than $3.33, there's an incentive, there's a sacrifice incentive to buy Genius token and then sacrifice it. More on that later. So other rules about the sacrifice is that, okay, they're going to be made on the Ethereum network and with any of the following ERC20 tokens: the Legacy Genius token, Hex, Shiba Inu, Wrapped Bitcoin, CRO, Link, Mana, and then other stable coins such as the USD coin, USD Tether, True USD, Binance USD, and DAI, which is awesome. MakerDAO's formula-based stablecoin. I guess it's also based on USDC. I don't know, but I'd really like to know about that. Can we take a second real quick to hit the like button? I know we all forget to hit that button. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. This will help other people reach this information too. So please go ahead and do that. Or hit the down button if you don't like this stream. And if you don't like this stream, then something really bad is going to happen to you today. So just hit the up vote for us. Nothing bad's going to happen. I'm just kidding. All right, so other things that are here about this is that sacrifices can also be made on the Binance Smart Chain. Cool. But only the native Binance coin and approved stable coins will be accepted for the sacrifice. So okay, these are rules to pay attention to make sure that your sacrifice is going to count. I mean, all sacrifices count, but for you to get the sacrifice points, for those points to count, you got to follow these. Very important. Do not sacrifice directly from an exchange. Everybody, we all need to use exchanges for one thing, and that's just to get what we're looking for and then get out. Exchanges are not a place to store your coins. I know you might want to do that, but don't do it. Don't do it. All right, very important. Sacrifices are not an investment. It's true. Sacrifices are not an investment. Uh, sacrifice points themselves, they have zero monetary value. Um, the coins or the tokens that you get the initial supply of, there's no monetary value. No one knows what's going to come of it. So please don't sacrifice for the sake of profit. I don't think it's a good idea. Now, for Pulse Chain and PulseX, there might not even be profit on there. So please don't look at it on an investment point of view. However, it could be. It really could be. I personally don't believe liquid loans is going to be a profitable sacrifice for anyone. And liquid loans was very clear that it's not an investment. I still sacrificed into it anyways because I believe what they're doing and I believe the political statement that they made and I wanted to sacrifice. I am not counting on making anything from that. I'm not having expectations on any of these sacrifices. And I'm telling you this because it's a good thing that you don't have expectations too. It's a good thing that you just put your love into something instead of your demands of something being an investment. Okay, so point multipliers. Here's the meat and potatoes of getting the best sacrifice points and what people want to know. Almost every sacrifice that I've seen done in this sort of way has earlier pays better multiplier. It also has the bigger pays better multiplier. All right. I'm going to put another link here. Now, this sacrifice specifically has something called Jenny pays better. So Genius pays better. That's pretty cool. Liquid loans, they're the sacrifice.io. They had early pays better, bigger pays better. And here's a nice little graph. And they also had longer pays better, which is just based off people getting their initial supply of tokens later in the future. Personally, I don't think these are too great, but it's a way to get a better deal. Okay. I always hate watching people scroll around on their browser. It gives me a headache, so I really hope it's not giving anybody a headache here. All right, so back to the sacrifice. So we know how to get the most points possible. We really don't need to do all this math, but the basic idea, and let me show a chart here. The basic idea is that you want to sacrifice as early as possible. Now, the liquid loan sacrifice, it's over, so you can't sacrifice for it. The Genius sacrifice is still around, so you can sacrifice for it. But the reason why you want to sacrifice earlier is because at the very beginning, at the very bottom of this graph you see on the bottom left, that shows that for every dollar, you're going to get so many points. And then after 10 days, you've got to pay more to get the same number of sacrifice points. So if you want to get the most initial supply of a cryptocurrency on your sacrifice, the idea is to get in as early as possible. Maybe after 10 days, you start to understand the great things going on. And then maybe you get $2. You have to pay $2 to get the same amount of sacrifice points. So if you want to sacrifice again, it's worth it. Maybe you got your next paycheck and you want to sacrifice $100 and it's worth it to you because you're 24 days into this sacrifice and then you start to understand more and then you're like, whoa, hold on, let me sacrifice more. It's still worth it. You just don't get as big of a deal, but it's still worth it. Bigger pays better, meaning meaning when you sacrifice, the more you sacrifice, the better deal you're gonna get. All right, so let me show you what those look like in math, okay? Once again, I just gotta say the Jenny pays better multiplier is pretty awesome. It's awesome because the price of this Genius token, the Genius token's placeholder contract, the price of it is like 80 cents right now. So if you each Jenny token that you buy today, you get $3.33 worth of sacrifice points. So since the price right now is 80 cents, it's like you're getting a huge discount to get $3.33 worth of sacrifice points. Let's see that. Yeah, see that here? Dang. Just nothing but buys. That's awesome. Now remember, the Genius token that you can buy now is a placeholder that guarantees you'll have the initial supply of the Genius token, the stakeable Genius token. And sacrificing also gives you the initial supply, but sacrificing you're gonna get more points. You're gonna potentially get more supply. I think it's highly likely. So let me show you how that math works out. All right, this is where it's gonna be fun. If you don't like math, then at least looking at this will give you some sort of tables and help you visualize what's going on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the rules in here for it to make a little sense. Okay. So let's zoom in on this. Oops. Okay. Sacrifice amount. Okay. Let's say you're sacrificing $1,000. Sacrifice day is day 1. All right. So the early pays better bonus. So what's the early pays better bonus going to be? Well, what's kind of cool is you get that formula from that sacrifice.to website. So I'm just going to paste that formula here. There it is. There's that formula. All right, but the sacrifice day is this one. All right, so it's day 10, day 11. On day 11, my bonus kind of changes. It's called day 1. Early pays better bonus. Okay. So the early pays better bonus. Wait. All right, so what I'm going to calculate here is, well, how many points do I get, right? So points per dollar sacrifice is 100 points. So, well, points per sac rate, let's call it that. Okay, so if I sacrifice $100,000 worth of cryptocurrency on day one, how many points am I going to get? Well, it's 100 points per dollar, so dollar times this. Cool. So I'm going to get 100,000 points, SAC points. Woohoo! That's important to know, and that's easy to calculate. That's easy for us to figure out. What's even harder to figure out is, well, what is our bigger pays better multiplier? Bigger pays better multiplier. That's a hard one to figure out, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, keep in mind, Pulse Chain hasn't been launched yet, so people haven't gotten their coins, but we're going to do some math that's similar to how it's done. I don't know if it's done like this 100% for Pulse Chain. However, for the Genius sacrifice, I do know that this is going to be the exact math that goes by. Now, the bigger pays better multiplier, on the sacrifice.to website, it explains it as all sacrifices will be totaled and ranked by the sending address. A multiplier will be applied for each sacrifice transaction, starting from the largest sacrifice point address to the smallest. The top address may earn up to 2.5 points. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that the multiplier you get, so the multiplier that we get, it depends on how much everyone else is sacrificing. So the guy or the woman who sacrifices the most is going to get a bigger multiplier. And then the person who sacrificed the least is not going to get any multiplier. Their multiplier is 1. So they're going to get the same amount of points. All right. So let's create a little situation where we have a new sheet of sacrifices. And then the sheet that I'm working on here, let's call that my sacrifice. Okay. Oops. So let's just say we have a bunch of sacrifice numbers. So this is the first person who sacrificed and the second. I could say date time, but I'm just not going to do that. Dollar sack. So let's say this person sacrificed $800 worth, 950. This person 10,000. This person 25,000. Myself $1,000 sacrifice, 450. And let's say somebody was smart and this $450 worth of sacrifice points, they bought Jenny token with that. Let's do some math real quick. Jenny token is currently 80 cents per Jenny token. So they're going to get 562.5 Jenny token. And each Jenny token is going to give $3.33 worth of sacrifice points. All right, so this $450 of sacrifice, because this person bought Jenny token instead and used that to sacrifice, they're going to get that many dollars sacrificed. That's pretty awesome. All right, I just did some quick math there to show you that Jenny pays better. And I'll say it was another person who sacrificed 1,000 Jenny. That's going to give them $3,330 worth of sacrifice points. That's awesome. Okay. Well, I may have done my math there wrong, but yeah. They took their $1,000, bought Jenny token with it. Never mind. I'm confusing things here. But let's just say somebody else $5,000 and somebody else $200 they sacrificed and someone else $50 that they sacrificed for. Okay. This is important information to know. I'm going to go ahead and take these and I'm going to order them. So the person who sacrificed the most up at the top, they're going to get the biggest multiplier, the 2.5x multiplier, right? Oops. Oh, come on, let me do that. Okay. So when you have a multiplier of 2.5x, let's say that here, multiplier. What's hard to know is the increment. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is how to calculate that. Just follow along with me, and you know what? I'll post this onto like a Google Drive so people can work with it. Maybe I will. It's a lot of work. But so what we have here is when we have a total of total sacrifices is count. I already know it's 10, but I have to do things like this. All right, total of 10 sacrifices. So our increment here is going to be 0.25. All right, so the top person is going to get a multiplier of 2.5. No matter who they are, they're going to get that multiplier. Then the person below them is going to get a multiplier that is equal to this increment amount. All right, if you don't understand the math, that's okay. You can just follow me here and just see. Oh no! Did it wrong. All right, if anybody can help me with math here, I'd appreciate that. You can tell me, Robert, you need to do this, you need to do that. And now I got to remember what to do. Well, the one here, oh, the lowest multiplier is 1. So this formula is actually we got the max multiplier. That's what I forgot. Max multiplier, minimum multiplier. Minimum multiplier is 1. Now that's really important because all right, the increment is 0.15 ish. I forgot what the devs calculating this did. It was the minimum multiplier, I think, plus 1 increment on here. I don't remember what it was, but that's right. It's total sacs minus 1. Okay. Okay, so here's how you find out the bonus multiplier. So no one can really know what kind of multiplier they're going to get until all of these sacrifices are in place. So the best thing to do here is when you do sacrifice, the bigger the sacrifice, the better. So you don't want to make a bunch of really small sacrifices. You don't want to take $1,000 and do a $100 sacrifice here, $100 sacrifice there. Go ahead and get another Ethereum account, sacrifice $100 there. Wait 5 days, sacrifice $100, etc., until your total sacrifice is $1,000. You don't want to do that. Instead, you want to take as much as you can sacrifice and just sacrifice all of that, because then that is going to push you up on the rank of who sacrificed the most, and then therefore you're going to get the highest multiplier. All right, so in the example of my sacrifice, what kind of multiplier did I get? You know, I've just got to make crazy, like I got to do formulas and everything when I do Excel. If I don't do it, I get weird. You know, I could have just looked that up myself, but I really had to calculate things. For example, if I want to see the person who did $10,000 sacrifice, how many sacrifice points are they going to get? I'm going to have to make the formula look up for me what the multiplier is. So let's change a different number here. Let's say for somebody sacrificing 200. The number of sac points that they're going to get is equal to the rate, depending on the day that they sacrificed. And then there's going to be a multiplier, this multiplier. All right, so instead of getting 20,000 sac points, instead of getting 20,000 sacrifice points, this individual is getting 23,000 sacrifice points. Cool. All right. So the bigger pays better. The bigger pays better bonus is going to be I think I'm doing it wrong already. Yeah, I am. My bad, I was doing that wrong. Hold on a second. I'm starting to. Okay, my bad. The multiplier does multiply the sacrifice bonus. Okay. So the total sacrifice points that you're getting based on how early you sacrificed and based on what the dollar value was of what you sacrificed, which Jenny token. Hold on a second. I gotta. Okay. Let's put another thing here saying whether or not it was Jenny's sacrifice. Let's just say no. Okay, so if the person sacrificed the genius token, hmm, you know, no, I don't think that's good to do. What I think is good to do is to just, for every genius token that you did sacrifice, is just to know to yourself whether you're going to get 100 sack points for that or not. Yeah. This is the first time I've made this spreadsheet, so I'm ad lib thinking about it as I go over this here. Oh, boo. Thanks for your calculation there. I like that. Yeah, so the bigger pays better bonus, that is just going to apply to the E5. It's 1. It's this. All right, here's your total sack points. Because I specifically wanted to put out what was the what was the bonus for bigger pays better? What extra did that give you? Instead, I could just calculate saying the total points is equal to this times that. I get the same thing. So I'm choosing to do my math this way specifically. All right. So next, well, what does that tell you? Next, that tells you, okay, you got 23,333 sack points, but how much of the initial supply of the genius token is that going to be? Well, we got to do more math to figure that out. So let me do more math for you. When we go back to the genius when we go back to the website sacrifice.to, that tells us that, let me see. Let's read. Let's do some reading. So we incorporated our earlier pays better multiplier. That tells us how many sacrifice points we get. We applied our bigger pays better multiplier and our Jenny pays better multiplier. So really, it's not such a multiplier. The multiplier would be 3 times 3, 3. For as long as the market price of Jenny remains under $3.33, people who sacrifice will get more sacrifice points by purchasing and sacrificing Jenny. So for as long as the market price of Legacy Jenny remains under $3.33, people who sacrifice will get more sacrifice points by purchasing and sacrificing Legacy Jenny. Legacy Jenny tokens can be acquired from Uniswap. So go to jenny.to/getlegacy, or by importing the Legacy Jenny contract address. Here's the contract address to your mobile MetaMask Explorer. I think the text on this website could be updated to be a little easier to read. Don't you think? Go ahead and say yes. Do some more likes on this video. I'll get it done. I'll make sure that it happens. Important note on acquiring Legacy Jenny. You must have no expectation of profit, nor expectation of profit derived from the work of others. Okay. The worst sacrifice rate for 333 points is on day 28 with a rate of about 2.4 Jenny per 333 sacrifice points. Okay. So for the first 10 days, every Jenny sacrifice you will yield at least $3.33 worth of sacrifice points. All right, so duration. The sacrifice will be 28 days. So the event of the sacrifice is 28-day long event. Multiple sacrifices, you may decide to sacrifice several times from the same wallet or from a different wallet. Your total points will be calculated by aggregating these amounts and applying any appropriate bonuses. All right. So however you do that, making multiple sacrifices will be considered, they're each going to have their different bonus multiplier. Keep that in mind. All right, so in summary, the maximum supply of the official Genius token will be this. 240 billion Genius will be distributed to the accounts that participated in the sacrifice. There's the important detail that we need there. I wonder if this says, I don't remember where it says it, but I wonder if it says how this is going to happen. Because if it doesn't say that here, it definitely should. And it's also kind of like, no wonder why this would be confusing. All right, so let me tell you how this is going to work, because I know the mechanics, and I'm going to get somebody to update this website as soon as possible. Let's go back to our spreadsheet. That is right here. Okay. So the total amount getting sacrificed, when you sacrifice, the number of points you have relative to the number of points everybody else has is going to determine how much of the initial supply of Genius token you get. So therefore, it's very important that we know that the initial supply, is 240 billion. And we need to know the total amount sacrificed. All right, so the total amount sacrificed is over here. The total dollar amount. Okay. So in the little example we had here for sacrifices, the total amount that was sacrificed is like $48,000 worth. I'm going to let you know the total amount sacrificed is absolutely going to be much larger than that number. I don't know what that number is. But let's say the number happens to be that small. Let's say that a lot of people don't end up hearing about this sacrifice, and the total amount sacrificed is relatively tiny. Okay. Everybody who hears about the sacrifice afterwards and hears about the Genius token, they're sure going to wish that they participated in the sacrifice, because everybody wants this initial supply, right? Or at least that's what I'm thinking. Okay. So genius token per sac point. So when we know the initial supply, which is something we do know, we're able to calculate the genius tokens per sacrifice point only when we know the total amount sacrificed. And we're only going to know the total amount sacrificed once this sacrifice event is over. The event ends in 28 days after the event starts. So pay attention to when the event starts. Then 28 days after that, any new sacrifices will be awesome. It'll be more people contributing to that sacrifice, more people promoting that message, that cryptocurrency. The message in a nutshell, I'll tell you, is that this cryptocurrency revolution that's happening is like 1776 version 2.0. What happened in around 1776 in the United States was for financial freedom. And what's going on right now with cryptocurrency is for financial freedom. It is like 1776 version 2.0. All right, so how many genius tokens does somebody get per sacrifice point that they have? That's a lot of genius tokens to get. So in this real world example, let me make a hypothetical example. Not real world. In this example, okay, my sacrifice points, or my initial genius token. All right, so someone who sacrificed $200 is going to get an initial supply of almost 1 billion genius token. That's just in the example that we have here, this relatively small example, not the truth of what really happened in the market. So, all right. So with a $200 sacrifice, you get almost 1 billion genius tokens. The guy who sacrificed $250,000 worth, he got the 2.5x multiplier, or she got it. And let's say he did it on day one, he gets the best multiplier. All right, and so he gets 124 billion. That's about half of the supply. So someone who sacrifices half of the amount of dollar amount, sorry, somebody who holds half of the total sacrifice points, they're also going to have about half of the total of the initial current supply of genius token. That's pretty cool. All right, let's get a more realistic thing going on here. All right, let's say that the total amount sacrificed, let's say that is, let's say a total of, let's say a total of 100 million. Let's say a total of $100 million was sacrificed. The person who sacrificed 25,000, they're not going to get that multiplier, but let's say they did. Let's say the person who sacrificed the most sacrificed $25,000 worth of points. And then everyone else sacrificed less than them. Everyone else sacrificed 24,000, 23,000, 22,000. There was tons and tons and tons of people that sacrificed $20,000 worth of cryptocurrency. Well, the person who happened to have gotten the biggest spot is going to get the biggest multiplier. And they're going to end up with 60 million genius tokens. Sweet. All right. I think that's super fair. I know that's super fair. But let's say the person who sacrificed only $50 worth, so they don't get a big multiplier. Okay, bigger piece, better. Multipliers 1. They're going to get 120,000 genius tokens. Cool. All right. So that is sacrifice explained. My brain kind of hurts just by going over that. I know the math works out, I know it checks out, but this is a way that you can calculate. This is a way that, you know, when you participate in the sacrifice, you're either going to know how much genius token you sacrificed, which is going to tell you how many sacrifice points you get, or you're going to know how much US dollar worth of cryptocurrency you sacrificed. So either way, with how a sacrifice works, you're going to know at least how many points you get based on the earlier pays better bonus. You're going to at least know that. So this person, because they sacrifice on day one, they're going to get 100 points per sacrifice. Let's say they sacrifice on day 20. Oops, my bad. Let's say they sacrifice on day 20. All right, so depending on the day you sacrifice, you're going to know Ooh. So here the rate is you got to pay, the rate is for every dollar and 62 cents worth of sacrifice points, you're going to get 100 points. All right. Let's say it was $1. So the person who sacrificed 50 bucks, if they sacrificed it on day 20, the amount of sacrifice points they're going to get is at least 3,090 and 69 sacrifice points. Since it turned out that they were the person who sacrificed the least dollar amount, they're not going to get a bonus. They're not going to get a bigger pays better bonus because their multiplier will be 1. So this is their total amount of points. So no matter who you are, you're going to know this many sacrifice points. You're going to know this number. We're not going to know until the very end of the sacrifice. We're not going to know until then what bonus we got on that sacrifice, on that one sacrifice transaction. Likewise, although we do know the initial supply, likewise, we do not know the total amount that's going to be sacrificed. We don't know that. So, dang it. That's sad that we don't know that. Yeah. I'm really sad looking at this person $50 sacrifice. Hey guys, my brain is fried. I need to get something to eat. I need to get something to drink here. I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more how this works. What I'm going to try to do is give everyone a spreadsheet, like a Google Doc, to get that information so they can check this out themselves. In addition to that, if you want to get news and updates on that information, go to t.me slash GENI token, GENI crypto. So go to the website t.me slash Jenny crypto, and that will bring you to the Telegram room where you can talk more about this and check this out. You can also go to sacrifice.to. So type in the web domain sacrifice.to. That will give you the sacrifice details as well that we went over. And those details are surely going to update in the future in some way, shape, or form. Even the design of the website should update. So if you want updates here, go to the Telegram room and go to the Sacrifice website. Check out the description below and you'll get that information in the description as well, and in the Telegram room, and etc. I'm going to work to have us all get a spreadsheet here so people can tell and people can guesstimate their sacrifice points and their bigger pays better bonus, so that people can tell this. This will be really cool to have a nice spreadsheet where people can get an idea of how many sacrifice points that they're going to have, right? Won't that be nice? And then people can play around with the spreadsheet and type in the total amount of sacrifice, the total sacrifice points, and that can help. That can be really useful for everyone. So alrighty, hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Let's see if we have any other questions in here. Bigger pays better bonus is wrong, isn't it? Vobu, I don't know. My brain is fried from all this math right now. I'm going to talk with some of the other tokenomics and mathematician people that are on the team to get that down pat. And either way, there will be a spreadsheet, and this can help with some of the mechanics. This can help answer a lot of questions. This video can help answer as many questions as possible, hopefully. This document says that investors who investors, we can't call them investors. This is not an investment. Let's call them sacrifice participants. This document says that the participants who sacrifice earlier than the date of the official announcement of the sac phase will get the best rate. Does it mean that the same rate as the first 10 days of the sacrifice phase? Okay. Let me ad-lib your question, or let me rephrase your question. The sacrifice.to website does say, let's go find it. It does say all the way at the bottom here. I don't know if you can read it, but it says pre-sacrifice. If this sacrifice address is released before the official sacrifice start date is announced, pre-sacrifices will receive the maximum sacrifice points at the best rate. Now, I know that is referring to saying, I think it would be better if that said, if you sacrifice before the event starts, because somehow you got some knowledge about that address. And I'll let you know, nobody has knowledge on this address so far. But should that happen, like let's say, really, I don't think that's even gonna happen. I think it's just a fail-safe. Basically what it means is the earliest you can be is day one. Earliest you can be is day one, even if the event doesn't start yet. Okay, I get it. That's a little confusing. But yeah, the earliest bonus you can get for early pays better is a low rate of $1 per 100 sacrifice points. So that's the best you can do, no matter how early you are. And likewise, for bigger pays better, the best you can get is a 2.5x multiple. The worst you can get is a 1x multiple. All right. Could you please send us this Excel so that we can do our calculations? Yeah, I'll talk with the community and see if we can have a better spreadsheet. I think this spreadsheet is okay, but I think, what do you think? I think the best spreadsheet we could have, I think the best spreadsheet that could help people is them typing in how much they're looking to sacrifice, whether that's in the Genius token or that's in the US dollar value of any other token. So if you're planning on sacrificing Genius, you can just type in, okay, I sacrificed 1,000 Genius. If you didn't sacrifice Genius and you sacrificed Ethereum, then you say, okay, the dollar value was about this much dollar value. And then I think the next thing that a spreadsheet can ask that's useful is to ask someone, well, what's the total amount that was sacrificed? What's the total dollar amount that was sacrificed? Or it's really not the dollar value. Take a guess at the total number of sacrifice points, right? Because it's the total number of sacrifice points that is actually going to determine how much of that initial supply you get per sacrifice point. In the example we did here, we used dollars. Dollars shouldn't have been used. You know what? That bugs me. Let me go back and fix that. All right. So I think that will be a really useful spreadsheet. What do you all think? I think it'll be super useful to just find out how much Jenny token did you sacrifice, or what is the dollar value of any other token that you sacrificed. Have a spreadsheet that then asks you, what do you think your bigger pays better bonus is going to be? And that's going to be for you to guess. That's going to be for you to guess by looking at all the sacrifice transactions. And then can ask you, what do you think the total number of sacrifice points will be? How many total sacrifice points do you think will be awarded? And then with those numbers, only two of them is something you know. which is the what you sacrificed and the amount you sacrificed, the amount of units you sacrificed. I guess another thing you know is what day you sacrificed. So if you know those three things, then you're just gonna have to guess, well, what multiplier are you gonna get? And then you take a wild guess of, well, what's the maximum being sacrificed? You guess these things, and a spreadsheet can help you estimate and guess, well, what's your initial supply gonna be? What are the initial genius tokens that you're gonna get? So no one really knows. You'll find out. We'll all find out at the end of this event, and that'll be exciting. But here, we're back at the spreadsheet. I am back at the spreadsheet with vengeance. Yeah. Total sack points awarded. That's really what it is. Let me change this. This is not. So let's say the total sack points awarded is, let's see, I'm going to guess if there was $100 million, it would likely be 10 billion. Is that 10 billion? No, that's 10 trillion. All right, 10 trillion. So then the number of genius tokens per sack point will actually be that. All right, that's a completely different number, isn't it? I'm glad I did that because that was really freaking me out. Because so something that I erroneously put in here was that, you know, the number of sacrifice points you get is going to be based on the dollar you sacrificed. No, not true at all. Uh, the amount that you sacrifice is going to be based on the dollar amount you sacrificed, the day that you sacrificed, your ranking as far as bigger pays better, and I think those three things. And that's complicated math. But to say it simply put, the amount that you're rewarded depends on the total amount of sacrifice points that are given out. All right. So, okay. That looks much better. All right. So this is a little bit about how sacrifices work. This is a little bit about how the math works and how the math is a little bit difficult. What I did was I did this in front of you, total live, unscripted, did this in front of you, used my mind in front of you to sit there and make mistakes and go, wait, how's this done? So this is all super complicating things, and even complicating for people who understand the mechanics behind it, things that require peer review. But here's a better number, and I think what's great that we got about that is, if you have any other questions about how a sacrifice point, or about how sacrifice works, you know, I'll stay here in a minute or so for in another way. But if you're a mathematician, this might be interesting. This might be fun. But here's how sacrifices work, and the math behind a sacrifice on how much of an initial supply you're actually going to get. It's total game theory. It depends on what everybody else is doing, right? Total game theory. Either way, the point of a sacrifice, the point of all this math, is so that the amount of initial supply you get and that everybody gets is fair. It's fair. It's fair, and it's awarded a little bit to the person who was earlier, the person who sacrificed the most, and the person who went out of their way to get genius token, to swap for genius token, and then sacrifice that. All right, well, thank you so much, so much for watching this. Thank you everyone who made comments in the chat area. I really appreciate that. Maybe you should write it in another way. It's a bit confusing. Yeah. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for checking out how I think about things. I think with spreadsheets all the time. And I tell you what, if you don't know how to use Excel and you don't know, or LibreOffice, if you don't know how to use spreadsheets, it's super valuable. It's super valuable because we do math all the time. And if you know how to use a spreadsheet really, really well, you can use it almost like an extended calculator, right? Calculators are really useful for us, but extended calculators, that's pretty cool. All right, hey, thank you all so much for watching again. Have a good day. And I wonder how long this stream is going to continue after I hit stop.